If you have a chance, please view the video on centering clay. In this particular video, I will be focusing on throwing a cylinder. To begin, I will take the clay and throw it on the center of the wheel head. I will then secure the clay to the wheel head by dampening my finger and placing it where the clay meets the wheel head. While I used to center with both hands, I now center with the left hand even though I am right hand dominant. It reinforces the fact that centering and throwing are not about muscling the clay, but understanding gravity, centrifugal force, and how the clay moves in your hands. Here I have my hand at the 7 o'clock position on the wheel head, and I move towards the center of the wheel, the clay having nowhere else to go but move up. Once I've coned the clay, I lean the cone towards 11 o'clock, and on its own it returns to center and drops slightly. I repeat the process. I cone in at 7, and then lean towards 11 o'clock, feeling the clay return to center and slightly drop. If the clay is a little stiff, I'll take my left hand to the base of the clay, my right hand to the center top of the clay, and apply equal pressure. If I'm establishing the base diameter and I want the base to be narrower, I will apply more pressure with the left hand while the right hand rests lightly on top. If I want a wider base diameter, then I will do the opposite. The left hand will relax while I will apply more pressure with the top hand, allowing for a wider base. Having a ruler around can be a helpful tool. If you don't have a ruler handy, something helpful to know is that most people will find the tip of their finger to their knuckle is about 1 inch in length. I'm looking for a base diameter of 3 inches. Before opening the clay, I will make a small impression in the center to make sure I have an even circle before opening. Once this has been established, I will gently start pressing into the clay. I will then check the thickness of the bottom of my clay. When it seems to be about 1 inch thick, it always seems to be thicker than it actually is. I'm looking for 1/2 inch in thickness. This seems to be what I have using my thumb as reference. Having a 1/2 inch at the bottom will allow for a 1/4 inch foot ring. I pinch and compress the walls of my vessel throughout the process to keep it flat and even. I will now slightly curve my hands and make a small indentation where the wall of the piece meets the floor. After several rotations like this, I know the wall will be even. Notice that my right hand gently rests on my left hand for stability. My arms are at my side. At this point, I straighten my fingers and the cylinder opens up. I once again pinch and compress the lip of the vessel. I will now compress the bottom of the vessel by starting at the 3 o'clock position, moving to the center and back out to 3 o'clock. I will repeat this. Once again, I will pinch and compress the lip of the piece. Next, I will pull the wall, but first explain hand positions. My left hand is in the shape of a C and my right hand is making an OK sign. Now the left hand rests on the right hand and the right hand supports the outside wall. To help demonstrate what the hands are doing, I will use this sponge. The left hand is applying pressure while the right hand supports the wall. At the same time, the left hand is resting on the right hand. Think of it as a type of clamping motion taking place. The left hand applies pressure while the right hand supports the wall. As this happens, the clay is compressed and the clay wall begins to rise. Throughout this process, I will dip my hands in water, but only use a minimal amount of water. It is important to remain steady throughout this process. At the same time, be relaxed and remember to breathe. At this point, I will compress the floor once again, moving from the 3 o'clock position to center, and from center back to 3 o'clock. I will also pinch and compress the lip of the vessel once again. I will also check wall thickness from the floor to the lip. If it happens to be thicker at the bottom than at the lip, I will go back and compress the wall only to the point where I felt a difference. This thickness at the bottom is actually common, especially when first learning to throw. A 1/4 inch wall thickness is a user-friendly thickness and one I often recommend. Before taking my cylinder off the wheel, I will check its height and also check to see that it's parallel to the ruler, nice and straight. Before I remove my piece from the wheel, there are other details I will check. I will make sure that the floor of the piece is compressed. I will take a sponge and absorb any water that may have accumulated on the floor of the piece. Again, working from 3 o'clock to the center and the center to 3. Being aware of and taking care of these details can make a difference in the outcome of your piece. I will now smooth and compress the lip of the piece. A piece of chamois, synthetic chamois, or soft plastic seems to work best. I'll now prepare to take the cylinder off of the wheel. I'll take a wooden tool, slide it along the side of the cylinder until it just barely touches the wheel head. This will cut into any excess clay there may be and slurry. I'll then make a slight angle cut and hold the wooden tool at an angle, and while the wheel is spinning, the excess clay and slurry will gather at the tip of the wooden tool. Next, I'll clean the slurry off of the wheel head. Then place water on the wheel head in front and behind the piece before using the wire cutter tool to remove it from the wheel head. I will drag the wire tool with water underneath the piece. Quickly clean the wire tool and drag it in the opposite direction. Finally, I'll slide the cylinder off of the wheel head onto a wear board. As always, you'll want to clean your workspace. Practice, have fun, and enjoy your time in the studio.